Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu, mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services. Discover how to empower your learning with AI in today's session with Juliette Denny. She's the founder of Growth Engineering and Iridescent Technology. And for over 20 years, she has pioneered gamification in corporate learning, making it fun and engaging. And her passion is to ignite curiosity. And it stems from overcoming her own academic struggles, even getting kicked out of 2 schools. And that journey led her to a Harvard postgraduate degree and Growth Engineering, a company that she built from scratch. And she has revolutionized learning for giants like L'Oreal, Apple, and Cisco, focusing on learner engagement. And now she's on an even bolder mission, transforming linear learning into a personalized conversation. And she's very proud to like glitter ponies and to have 2 amazing sons, Cosmo and Xavier. And she shares a vibrant home with 4 dogs in Andorra. First question is, what's the secret to your success?
I think, first of all, thank you very much for having me on. It's a real delight to be here. So yeah, let me just get that out of the way and just say thank you. It's lovely to be here. Secret to my success, I think it's just loving failure, falling forwards. I think one of the things that I think that the biggest thing is that, you know, when you have good things that happen and you're able to grow the business successfully, you really need to have the strength of mind to know that when things go badly, you need to treat them with the same emotional feeling, because it is tough growing a business. It is really tough. So I would say that, you know, the secret to success is basically tenacity and to look at failure in the same way as you would look at either not succeeding or, you know, succeeding if you possibly can.
Thank you. How did you awaken to your titanic power, and how did that lead you onto empowering learners to empower their experience to use AI to have a better learning experience?
I think that's a really great question. What I would say is that when you find something that you really like, you can't help but basically want to do more of it. And I think one of the things, because I was very curious about how to make people curious, it always struck me as slightly odd, the fact that you could have really smart people that didn't do that well academically. And so that was something that I was just really curious about. So when it came to starting my first technology company, Growth Engineering, that was the problem that I wanted to solve. And I was just really insanely curious about it. And so the opportunity to meet with senior leaders in large companies and discuss this exact problem, how you get engaged learners, I just loved it. And I guess that enthusiasm sort of led to a certain amount of energy and, the ability just to have the resilience to build a business.
Thank you. Tell us about your journey to empowering your own learning with AI, and also tell us about some of your biggest achievements that you're proudest of, any companies you've worked for, or anything that you're super proud of that's connected to this topic.
So let's start with the question, what am I most proud of? I am undoubtedly the thing that I'm most proud of. I'm very career orientated and spent my sort of life working outside the home. But the things that I'm most proud about are my boys. There is no question about that. Despite me working outside the home, they have literally turned into astonishing young men, and I am unbelievably proud. Sometimes I look at them and I'm like, I just cannot believe that, I gave birth to them. But anyway, so that is the number one thing I'm proud of. And I think, a lot of parents are the same. But outside that, what are the things I'm really proud of? I'm really proud that we built a company in an industry where everybody gets financing and we never got any financing. And we built a company that people really like working for. We have a team that basically the average kind of tenure is 15 to 20 years. And we did really good work. And you can see that through the kind of 150 different global awards that we've won. And so I think people and, developing a company that was a very strong, SaaS business with strong revenues, working with some of the biggest names in the world. So, yeah, I am very proud of that. But it wasn't an easy journey. I mean, it was really, really tough. There were real highs and lows. No matter how big you are, cash flow is still king. Suppliers still pay you late. You still have problems with managing teams. So it's not an overnight success. It's basically every single day in order to keep the sales coming in, the cash coming in, and then making sure that everyone gets paid.
Thank you. Learners have different learning styles, and that's typically the cause for success in academics or even work. So I'm wondering, how does your solution cater to the different learning styles?
I love that question. There are lots of questions I like, but I love that question. So basically what you could do with AI or what we're building with Zavmo is a personalized learning companion. So when you are learning, I'm dyslexic, for example. So when dyslexics have short-term memories, or some dyslexics have short-term memories, we also struggle with kind of like the words on a page. And we also struggle with understanding some words on a page and creating meaning out of those specific words. And the other thing we struggle with is short-term memory. So if we're told something, what ends up happening is that we forget it really easily, but our long-term memory is fine. That's just one example of neurodiversity. There's lots. So what Zavmo does is it caters the learning conversations to your neurodiversity needs. So, for example, when it's delivering to me, it will double space the written word. It can obviously speak the written word. It can, when it shows a word which is slightly complicated, it will phonetically spell it so that basically I can see the word more clearly in my brain. It will do more repeating of the key learning topics, and we will always start a new learning session by reviewing what we had previously learned, and the sessions typically will be shorter. So all of those things you can basically drive and put into the prompt engineering of AI in order to personalize the experience. Now, if you are not dyslexic, if you are an absolute genius, what the AI will pick up, or Zavmo will pick up on, is the pace in which you're learning and the quickness in which you pick up some of the topics. And so basically what will happen is that the learning experience will go faster. But one of the key things with Zavmo is that we need to get away from this idea that learning something, without applying it is interesting. So one of the problems we have in one-to-many education is that I'm going to tell you something and then you're meant to retain it. But the problem with retaining it is it doesn't necessarily move to behavior or a deep insight of that particular topic. So one of the things that Zavmo does is on the fourth stage, so the fourth kind of element of what Zavmo does is demonstration. So what we're trying to do is take the information that Zavmo's been teaching, and we're trying to say, right, how would you apply that? So give sort of real world scenarios based on your role within your organization and say, hey, look, how would you apply, the topic of sustainability in customer conversations in your role as a account manager? So it's those types of things. So in learning, you have different sort of, there's a model called Bloom's taxonomy, and you have sort of knowledge transfer at the bottom, but the brain forgets that really quickly. What we need to get onto the application and the evaluation. And this is where the mind thinks through, or the brain thinks through how the knowledge will be applied. And that's really where we need to get learning to. And we can do that with a one-to-one, so human to AI. But of course, it's very difficult to do that in a piece of e-learning. You create the piece of e-learning once, and then it goes out to, everybody in the same way. So that personalization is something that we are now able to do with AI, where hitherto we just haven't been able to do.
Thank you. Is this AI tool that you have access to, is it just for large companies? Is it for medium? Is it for small companies? Is it for everybody? Who is it for?
So it's for everybody. So if you go to Zavmo AI, we are launching an e-commerce option. So everybody. So Zavmo is a lifelong learning companion. So the idea is that you go onto Zavmo, and you say, look, where do I want my life to go? What do I want to do? So you have a conversation with Zabmo. Zabmo then pulls back the content and says, hey, look, is this the right content for you? Is this what you like? Does this make sense for your ideal life design? You commit to that, and then basically the learning starts, and then you do the practice through the demonstration area. So that will all be available. And the idea is that you're constantly moving towards your lifelong goals, right? You've basically laid out your life design. So I want to, be, on the board of directors for a large blue chip company in 10 years' time. Fine, let's go on that journey together. And that's what Zavmo does. So we call it a lifelong learning companion. So we've made that available via business consumer, but we also work with large corporates, with different types of data. So obviously we've got data that's coming from national and international learning organizations. We've also got the individual companies' content and knowledge bases. So there's various different data that we can pull into Zavmo to ensure that it basically is fit for purpose for whatever audience will be using it.
Thank you. In terms of large corporates or even medium companies, how does the information that a learner would typically need to learn integrate with this AI tool that you have?
Yeah, it's a really good point. So Zabmo works in a couple of different ways. Firstly, it comes locked and loaded with the national organizational standards and Ofqual. So these are the national qualifications databases in the UK and in Europe, essentially. And what happens is that these content databases are pulled into Zavmo, and so it comes locked and loaded with the national qualifications. However, there are lots of organizations that have specific things that they want to train their people up on. And that could be things like our vision and values. It could be onboarding. It could be the way we work. It could be a myriad of different things. And so what we do is we connect to their existing learning management platforms, and we can also connect to internal knowledge networks like SharePoint, and we can pull data from there to ensure that the content that is basically recommended to the learner comes from a quote unquote trusted source. So we can basically manage those data sources and ensure that, the corporate basically gets, the type of learning experience that they have approved.
Thank you. What are the biggest benefits in terms of using your platform versus other standard platforms?
I think very simply, it's just back to this one-to-one thing. So because the nature is much more akin to like coaching, mentoring, but it's done on a completely equal scale. So whether you are, the lowest paid in the organization or you're the highest paid in the organization, you can have a personalized career path that basically allows you to rise up through the ranks as quickly as possible. So I think it's very much about maximizing the curiosity and the interest for the learner and mapping that with organizational needs. So it's about saying, hey, you said that you wanted to do this. This is basically our recommended career path. And then you can bring all sorts of other things in there. Like, there's a project that is in India. Would you like to be part of that? Because it meets your, career goals. Would you like to? So there are lots of things that can be pulled in to that personalized development, because you've got one massive data lake of information, everything kind of HR and L&D, which we really haven't been able to do before because of the structure of, databases is just fundamentally different than the way AI works.
Thank you. How can entrepreneurs awaken to their titanic power using AI?
I think this is such a great, so the possibilities with AI are, in my view, are the fact that you can rapidly do things that you were never able to do before. So, a good example would be my journey with Iridescent. So I left growth engineering, the company I'd been running for 20 years. And I was really convinced that I wanted to basically start this AI company, Iridescent, and using Claude and using Llama and using all these different AI tools has allowed me personally to grow and learn all the possibilities about AI. And I think that's what AI fundamentally allows us to do. It allows us to hack the idea of basically developing a company or whatever it might be, through automation or through just getting stuff done in a much more quicker, efficient way.
Thank you. Do you have any case studies or stats about how companies were able to grow their business through empowering their employees with AI?
Yeah, so I've got quite a lot of that kind of stuff on my LinkedIn, actually. I tend to write quite a lot on LinkedIn. So there's lots of articles on that kind of thing. So how we can improve efficiency and effectiveness of outcomes generally, whether that might be for a large corporate or an individual or a small company. So yeah, that would be the best place to look, because there is a lot of information out there just talking about the opportunity that we can all take part in.
Thank you. Can you share anything from your experience when you worked with L'Oreal or any other of the other companies where you can share any of the impact that empowerment with AI has had on that particular company, whether it's the employees, on their well-being, on feeling more valued, on potentially on retention, on staying more in their job, on anything else that you feel the empowerment with AI managed to achieve as a result of using this platform?
So, I think the work with L'Oreal that we did when in growth engineering, we won quite a lot of awards for. And those stemmed from just simply looking at the return on investment. So, looking at doubling and tripling sales on certain products after, rollout. So that was one, big chunk. So can a learning platform dramatically increase sales? Yes, certainly that's what our proof of concept was. And we did it on whole brands like Armani or whatever, but we also did it on specific lipsticks. So we showed that we could increase sales, based on basically what was happening on the learning platform. So that's the first kind of section of things. The next thing is kind of connectivity. So one of the things that we found, because our solutions are very, very social in nature, people were spending anything up to sort of 40 minutes on, these learning apps and these learning platforms. And the reason they were doing that is because they were learning from other people. And so that social learning element was like a really, really key part of also why we won a lot of awards, because we showed that people were more connected, they were more quickly able to upskill themselves and start delivering in their role. And also, critically, as you said, also able to they stayed in the role for longer because they were really enjoying it and they had that sort of continuous learning about the products and services coming through.
Wow. I love what you said about doubling the sales. That's incredible. That's a really, really magnificent achievement. Was there anything else that any other company worked with that you can share in terms of how empowering with AI managed to make a dramatic difference?
A lot of the projects that we are doing on AI now are about data and how we can use data in order to make better decisions. So, for example, one of the things that is missing in a lot of large corporates is a kind of ubiquitous understanding of standards in job roles. So one of the things that we're able to do with AI is say, hey, look, everybody in the company has a role which should be mapped onto national or international standards. And so it makes the passporting and the career progression a lot easier for companies because they know where people are. Then what they can do is say, okay, well, based on the fact that you're, let's say, a level 3 and you want to get to a level 7, this is what an ideal pathway would look like. So that's one of the big things that we are currently in pilot with. The other thing that is really important is this idea of intellectual organizational capital. So with AI, when we look at social learning, we can take social learning to the next level by basically ensuring that we can connect the right people from within a large organization. So mentors, mentees, that kind of thing. But we could also find relevant projects so that they can apply their skills. And so this idea of basically having a huge sort of data lake of information that the organization needs to allow it to make intelligent decisions and allow individuals to maximize the contribution they can make to organizational goals.
Thank you. I love also what you said about the retention. The reason for that is because when you fail to retain the right candidates for your business, you can lose hundreds of thousands of pounds in terms of having to hire new people and then having to teach them from scratch everything. So it can take so much time and so much effort and so much money. And you're losing as well a lot of the knowledge that these experts that were working for you had, and then they went with it. So I do think your tool seems to be really impressive in terms of creating that engagement and also helping employees to feel valued and to feel that they're progressing, because I think that as long as they're getting learning that is personalized for them, they can feel valued, they feel important, and they stay longer in the job, right?
I think that's it. If you can give people a learning platform that basically not only teaches them the compliance elements that they need for their job, like onboarding and, all of these other sort of mandatory pieces of training, but you can also give them, a learning experience that is about them and how they can develop themselves through the organization. You've really kind of captured something that's important to them as well. We often talk about like the epic meaning of what you're trying to do. What you're trying to do is build innovation and build within your organization. And how do you do that? You do that through individuals being curious and wanting to basically do more, not more as in work harder, but work smarter, right? So we're in a knowledge economy, and what we want people to be connecting new ideas, connecting, people to people, being involved in projects, in order to grow, innovate, and move forward, especially at a time as we are now, where I think there's a lot of people that have been kind of bitten by COVID. Maybe life is not as good as it should be. We need to basically give them something that allows them to flourish and grow, because if we can, then what that means, it kickstarts their curiosity, it makes them happier, it makes them more productive, and that's really what we want to do.
Thank you. Why do you think doubling the sales at L'Oreal worked? Why did empowerment with learning with AI, why did it work in terms of doubling the sales?
It's just access. If you don't talk about things and it's not top of mind, people don't action it, right? So before, there may have been, let's say, new lipsticks coming out, there may have been whatever it is, but because there wasn't a focus on it and a way of basically discussing the things that were happening and how the consumers were interacting with different colors, different styles, whatever it might be, all that happens is it's not top of mind. And so sales assistants in shops and in duty free, we're not talking about it. So all we're saying is that by having learning, a constant everyday learning companion, right? Having learning in your life every single day will facilitate focusing of basically how you behave on the shop floor. And that really is all it is. But can you put that learning experience into something which is two-way? Because humans do not like to be monologue to. They don't like sitting in class, just literally listening. They want to interact, they want to share, they want to be human, right? And so we have to give them the type of learning experience that allows them to, talk about the kind of experience they've had on the shop floor and what's working and what isn't working and what successes they had, and celebrate achievements. And this is where the gamification comes in as well.
Thank you. Tell us more about the gamification process, because like you said, people don't like to be in a classroom and so on. So how did gamification change the game in terms of empowerment with AI?
Yeah, the gamification is really, really important, because people like to level up. They like to have collaboration, and they like to have competition, and they like to be rewarded, and they like to see progress. So all of these things you can do with gamification. So we have kind of XP, we have badges, we have levels, we have peer-to-peer battles. So, I battle you on individual kind of bits of knowledge. We have squad battles, so you can do store-to-store battles. And it's just a fun way of doing things that people do in the classroom, or they do via e-learning, but just done in a much more fun, interactive way. We also put a lot of focus on, micro learning as opposed to large pieces of learning. So, you can see progress really quickly as you move through the levels, as you kind of gain your badges and gain your XP. So it's just, and you can build out your profile as well. So that's also kind of another gaming mechanic that we put in there.
Thank you. Do you also integrate that into the company's intranet in a way that they are I don't know, do they show up as, is there some sort of leaderboard of, I don't know, Pedro achieved whatever badge and this many score and this many certificates or whatever it is?
Yeah, we do have that. And we do have the ability to post to LinkedIn as well. So, if you get badges and if you get a certificate and if you get, other kind of awards or a praise badge from your manager or whatever it might be, you can then take that and you can post it to other platforms. So as you say, intranet or LinkedIn or whatever it might be. And we, of course, have leaderboards. So, yeah, that's absolutely. We have leaderboards by week, by month, who are you close to, who have you beaten on the leaderboard. And we also have like streaks. So, learning streaks, social streaks, login streaks. So all of those things are available.
Wow, I love it.
Well, we just try and make learning as fun as possible. Everybody has an inner genius, is my view. Everybody has an inner genius. We just need to provide the learning experience that basically allows that inner genius to find their voice and then unleash their creativity and innovation on the world.
Wow, I love it so much. The reason I love it so much is because when I was really young, I used to sit in the front row and I used to always say, me, so I just can pretty much imagine trying at least to be in the leaderboard, doing my best at least, So it sounds like a very fun thing to do. And I love what you did about the gamification of the entire program in the way that it feels cool to actually participate, because then you have all these different competitions. And I think recognition is also very important, and status. People care deeply about the status because that can help them elevate their potential for a promotion as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. People do. So one of the wonderful things about gamification is it takes it out of the learning arena and it allows you to apply gaming mechanics, so the fun and excitement of games, to something that is not a game. And I think that's the wonder when people get into a gamified learning environment, they really do enjoy it. As long as you're doing the gaming mechanics in a way that will support individual, contributors or individual learners, as well as, so collaboration as well as competition. What we don't want is we don't want to create an environment which is all about competition. We need to also celebrate and reward collaboration and diversity and different views and all of that kind of stuff. So that's where you have different gaming mechanics in order to scoop up, different kind of gamer behaviors, if you like.
Thank you. And what's your message to entrepreneurs worldwide related to empowering your learning with AI?
I would say if you are not learning in today's environment, you're getting left behind. I think now more than ever, AI has a real, it really can empower you to hack growth in your company in a way that we've never really seen before. So, how quickly you can scale your company, how quickly you can drive revenue through your company is really amazing if you can utilize the right AI tools. And so what I would say is just make sure that you are utilizing AI in every aspect of your business in order to basically drive growth and profitability.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.